Police in Quebec say 3 escaped cons are probably hiding out in a forest after a helicopter landed at their prison Saturday evening and then just flew them to freedom. Authorities say the chopper was on the ground only seconds before the cons clambered aboard and flew westward. They say the escapees probably didn't fly far but got off quickly in dense woods between Quebec City and Montreal. Sound familiar? Well, perhaps it does, because this is the second chopper escape in scarcely a year in Quebec. At least one report says that Canadian prison guards never challenged the aircraft for fear of running into gunfire. Larry Levine's with us. He has served time in federal prison for drug trafficking, obstruction of justice, and possession of automatic weapons. You are now a prison consultant. And Larry, I'm tempted to ask, how hard is it to simply land a helicopter and then make off with the people you want to take?
That's correct.
Well, I mean, you've got a compound, you've got a rec yard. There's a lot of space there because they have to contain a lot of inmates, so they could just bring it down in. I mean, in the U.S., you've got prison guards patrolling the perimeter, and in the towers, they have M16s, they have automatic weapons, so they probably would have fired on it and waved the helicopter off. But in Canada, things seem to be a bit more lax than they are here. And let's take a look at this place. This is a detention center. This is not a prison. This is not a jail. And
although the ones that they broke out from last time was a maximum security facility. And as a matter of fact, CNN's Alexandra Field has confirmed that, in fact, union prison guards are now going to their chief and saying, we've got to get netting, we've got to get some sort of cables to prevent this from happening again.
Well, yeah, you know, in the U.S., they would be able to prevent it. But in Canada, things are real lax. I met a lot of Canadians that were locked up with me in the U.S. that were trying to get treaty transfers to go back, and they were telling me about these Canadian prisons. I mean, it sounded like going to a resort, sort of. But these guys were in a detention center. They were arrested 4 years ago, which means they're probably part of a large drug ring, organized crime or something. And that's why it's taking them so long to go to trial. And they were all arrested together. So there's a lot of money behind this escape, I would imagine. A lot of planning, a lot of logistics.
Well, let's talk about the planning.
Inmates just, yeah, sure.
Well, let's talk about the planning, because obviously, look, these cons had to assume their mail was being opened, that their phone calls were being monitored. How then do you think that they were able to communicate with people on the outside and coordinate this so specifically that the helicopter would know exactly when to land and get them out of there?
Well, with Google Earth now, you can zoom into anything. You can pre-select a spot, and yeah, your mail is opened in a prison, your phone calls are monitored. A lot of that is not real time. When I was at a prison in Texas, they used to have the guards that were driving around the compound of the fence, and they had DVDs of the inmates' telephone calls, and they would be listening to the calls that may have happened a week or so earlier, 2 or 3 weeks
and it's unclear.
earlier.
It's unclear whether, in fact, that was the case in this situation. Larry Levine, we've got to wrap you, but thank you. We appreciate it. We'll continue the conversation a little bit later.
Glad to be with you today.
Of course.